Sixto. There could not be a better name.
I love the names on this team. They have Sixto Sanchez, and they have my favorite name probably in baseball right now, Jazz Chisholm.
To win a championship, not only do you need great players on the court, but you need good chemistry, which takes time to develop.
It's weird how the dynamic works between sports. But
showing emotion in baseball is terrible and should never be in the game.
Blame Luke Walton for that. They have a lot of young players that I believe can really excel in this league.
Corey Perry will give some veteran presence to the Canadians and to just help give some insights on what he did last year.
Justin Fields is a all-time talent, and we definitely need to take into consideration his health.
This was a trade that the Senators really hope would work out, as Matt Murray has won the Cup 2 times.
Even though this is Mr. Irrelevant, he may be Mr. Playing Time after this season's over.
Just amazing, and I don't care what the Red Sox got for trading Mookie Betts and David Price. The Dodgers, in my opinion, win it. I don't have to see what players they gave up.
Charlie McAvoy also is, I think, a Norris contender, a top 5 Norris contender this year.
When Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones make jokes about not valuing the safety position, well, we can make jokes about you not being in Super Bowl for 20-something years, but
I feel like Luka will take that next step, and if he can get a 3 ball consistently around 35%, I feel like they could become a contender.
It just goes to show the offense for the Dallas Stars could not keep up, and when the defense needed to step up, the Lightning's offense just overpowered them.
Yeah, I was impressed by their game. Braden Point, Andre Palat, Nikita Kucherov, that was the best line in the playoffs, no doubt.
What's up, everyone? This is Justin Goldman from the Goalie Guild and Lift the Mask, and you're listening to Outsiders Opinions with Austin and Kevin.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our NHL Opinions for the week of November 26th. We're going to start it by talking about my favorite team, and Austin roots for them, but his number one is the Bruins. But the Stars are looking like what I wanted them to be. Ottinger is up. You were correct, as he was not on the NHL roster. He was in, I'm thinking AAA, but I think it's AA in NHL.
It's just the feeder team.
Okay.
It doesn't really matter what you necessarily call him.
He was sent down. Holtby was doing well, but then Holtby got injured, and then Ottinger came up, and the Stars are riding a 6-game winning streak where something that hasn't been characteristic ever since the bubble, the Stars really haven't had that electric offense that we saw until this line of Pavelski, Hintz, and Robertson is just incredible. And Hintz, which was surprising, got his first hat trick a few games ago. I thought he would have had multiple hat tricks, but I'm really glad to have Hintz. He's a rising star. He was injured last year, and you could tell, I think he had torn something in his knee, but he kept playing. And I'm just happy we have some good goalies, and Hudobin is injured, but when you have Holtby and Ottinger, you can let Hudobin rest, and then you have Ben Bishop whenever he comes back. But that's a good problem to have when you have too many good goalies, and you have to make a decision. So what are your thoughts on the Stars, Austin?
Yeah, Ottinger is playing very well in the AHL. The AHL is not the best league of hockey, but he was definitely showing that he deserved to be in the NHL, and he got his chance, and he's been hot ever since. The Stars are on a 6-game winning streak, and that's a 7-game home winning streak, and they plan on riding it the rest of the way. Obviously, it's going to be a tough task, but we've seen some long win streaks this year, and I wouldn't necessarily be surprised if the Stars got on one with how Pavelski, Hintz, and Robertson are currently playing. Pavelski's back to what he was last year, looking like the Stars' best player, even though he's 37. Hintz is starting to score like he's never scored in his entire career, and Robertson's looking like he was last year. So the Stars can make some noise and get back in the playoff picture fully if they can continue on this run.
Yeah, and it's very early, but as of right now, the Stars are the 3rd team in the Central, so they would make the playoffs. But I want to go to the first team and to connect it from Robertson, who he lost the Norris with Calder. rookie, the rookie of the
Oh, the
year
rookie?
trophy.
Yeah, that's the Calder. Yeah,
Calder.
Kaprizov.
Yeah, Kaprizov and the Wild are number one, riding their own winning streak of 5 games, and they also a few games ago scored a touchdown on the Stars, scoring 7 goals. I think that was when Ottinger first came up. But they are a deadly team, and that's why we waited so long, as I've said multiple times, because with Kaprizov, this offense is just on a different level. As you have Zuccarello, you have Greenway. Um, who's the other player you talk about? I know you talk about Greenway, but who's
Oh,
the
Eriksson Ek.
Eriksson Ek? Yeah. So what do you think? I think they're living up to your expectations for them because you've been high on them since the playoffs.
Yeah, uh, I've been very high up on them. I really like their defense with Spurgeon and Dumba. Their goaltending with Talbot's been very good, and I've been impressed overall. The Wild were a team that there was a reason why we had to wait for Kaprizov to sign before we made any preseason predictions because he's a big X factor on the team and a catalyst for them. And while he's not always the best player on the ice, he makes a lot of big plays, and they're currently riding that high.
And so teams that were riding high, like the Buffalo Sabres, were riding a high, have kind of returned to what we thought they were, as they are at the they're third from the bottom. They have 8 wins, 15 losses, including the overtime losses. But the teams below them are the Canadians and Senators. So they're pretty much near the bottom and where we thought they were. And so they've fallen off. What are some other teams you think have fallen off?
Another team I say has fallen off is the Kings. The Kings were looking on a high after winning, I think, 7 games straight in the month of November, but they've really fallen off, and now they're back to 9-2, or they've only won 9 of their 20 games. So they looked like they were going to be on the rise and potentially fighting for a playoff spot, but that's really not been the case, and that's disappointing from a team that has a good bit of veterans and young guys that we wish would could we could see again in the playoffs.
And then Metropolitan, the worst team in the Metropolitan Division is the Islanders. They've of course been hit with COVID, but they were I don't think they've ever gotten hot, or were they hot for a little bit? And then
They've been middling for most of the season.
so that's a team I was pretty high on, and because they've done so well in the playoffs the past 2 years, they've just lost to the Stanley Cup champion. So the round before the Stanley Cup final. But on the rise, I think you can have the Stars, um, and the Red Wings have a 4 game winning streak. Maple Leafs, of course, have just been really hot with their great regular season team, but we haven't seen much in the playoffs for a very long time from the Maple Leafs. I thought they could do it last year, but they didn't in the playoffs. Any other teams on the rise?
I would say Colorado. Colorado is 8-2 in their last 10 and are looking dangerous as well. They even without McKinnon, they're really playing inspired hockey, and it's nice to see because this is definitely a team that should be contending for a cup every season right now.
Yeah, and they have yet to make it to the Stanley Cup final with all the great players that they have. They have McKinnon, as you mentioned, and that's a huge addition getting him back. And who they sign in the who did they sign? Why can't I think of his name? The winger,
Who sign?
the Avalanche.
The Avalanche signed.
They re-signed him. It was a big thing.
Oh,
I can't remember his
oh,
what's
you're talking about. Yeah, that's what confused me. I was like, it's Gabriel Landeskog, but I was like, I was very confused because uh, when you said signed, I was like, I don't think they signed anyone necessarily new. So
Yeah,
I
that's
was
what I was thinking of.
confused, but yeah,
I just couldn't
it was,
think of him.
yeah, it was Landeskog.
So now, any final thoughts? It's a long season, but it's good to see the teams that are on a high, and if they can keep this up, or if they can rediscover it later, right before the playoffs, then that's a big thing.
Yeah.
As the Kraken are starting to get a little bit hot, but they are looking like they're not going to be like the Golden Knights their first season.
It's looking like it, but they're currently on a small rise. They're 4-5-1 and are looking better than some of the worst teams in the league, but that's not necessarily anything to write home about.
Yeah, so it's a short NHL video, but thank you for listening, and let us know what you think about it in the comments.